Peace and love, everybody. It's your Brozo here, and we have a very special guest today. And as you know, on the Elevated Beings podcast, we like to deal specifically with individuals that have positive individuals that have taken the time to cultivate and harness themselves and their powers to become a better person to assist others. Okay, so today I have my brother Paris. Another VA cat, right? That's right. My VA. Yeah. I'm all, I got my ATL hat on today, you know what I'm saying? Y'all already know I'm from the VA, you know what I'm saying?
2 up, 2 down.
That's it. Y'all already know it.
That's right.
I still rep it, goddamn. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so we got a very special guest today, and what I'm gonna do, like I always do, I'm gonna let the brother Paris kind of introduce yourself and tell the viewers his story. So, Paris.
All right. Thank you for having me first.
Oh no.
My name is Paris Robinson. I grew up in Richmond, Virginia. Come from a single, one mother family household with an older brother. I grew up with a very loving and caring mother that provided very well for me and my brother. I was a latchkey kid. Right? So me and my mother worked very hard, and when she was at work, I was home. So that gave me a lot of time by myself, and it gave me a lot of time to see different neighborhoods and to go out and do different things that if she was home, I wouldn't have been able to do. So I knew at 6 o'clock I had to be at home. From like 2 o'clock in the evening to 6 o'clock is 4 hours is a lot of time for a young man.
Oh yeah.
Or a young male growing up. I got involved in like drugs and like street life kind of early on. I ended up doing a couple stints in the detention center with no fault of my mother, because like I said, my mother. I never came home, or our lights was out, or I didn't have any food, or the water wasn't running. I didn't have, I had very nice clothes. She provided very well, made a comfortable, living for me and my brother. It was just me as a male, right? And I would say I was attracted to certain things, right? Or my mind, like I was always wondering, like, what if, or what, so, I ended up going to jail, going to prison. Like I said, I ended up getting involved in drugs at a very young age. And that all stemmed from my mind as I go back and think about it. Thoughts that I had in high school that like still to this day affect my living or my being, like my well-being, my train of thought. I ended up getting shot a couple of times. When I got involved in the streets, I got involved. I went all in, and I got shot 4 times in my chest at one particular time. And that one left me, in this wheelchair. I've been in this wheelchair 21 years now. I ended up going, but my mind hadn't changed. I still ended up doing federal prison time in the wheelchair. I ended up getting back involved in drugs. I overdosed. Yeah. I had to go back to prison, and that's when, like, the remaking of me and my mind, right, started to actually develop into who you see right now, who we conversing right now with. All that started taking impact in prison, right? So. Pretty much in a nutshell, now I speak a lot. I do podcasts. I've done 20, 30 podcasts now. I go back into jails, detention centers, nursing homes, drug treatment programs, and I try to give back to the community. I try to mostly focus on the importance of how you train your thoughts, right? Because the images we project in our head of ourselves and of life, that becomes our reality. Right? So I try to make people see themselves in a more positive light, you know, outside of the surroundings that we're in physically. You know, so that's mostly what I put most of my time into today.
Okay, well, you know, that's positive in itself. You know what I'm saying? Make a change. A lot of people don't get a chance to make a change. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, so could you kind of talk about the transition of you being a key latch kid, the curiosity, that transition from there going into the drugs? Like, what was it? How was that? Like,
actually, it wasn't that hard, right? It started like with my curiosity and seeing how the environment that I grew up in, like how like the guys with big cars and chains and money, how much attention that they was attracting. You know, rather it be from the community, whether it be from the females, you know, and that right there was like, because I could go back, like I wasn't raised up with a father. Like my father got murdered when my mother was 7 months pregnant with me.
oh man.
Right? And she didn't bring, like, I didn't get a stable in my life of what a man was supposed to be until I was like 15 years old. That's when she brought like a man into our home, like to be a part of our lives. And at 15 years old, my mind was he was only thing he was for me was a distraction from my mother. Right? Because now she could take all of her, you know, energy off of me and she could focus on him a little bit, right? And now I can go and do.
Now he the scapegoat.
Yeah, you know, because you know, but at that point of time in my life at 15 years old, I was already set and destined to do what I was already going to do, right? And so I could say like the curiosity and the influence that, you know, like my neighborhood had on me and the other, you know, places that I would go to ride my bike to, you know, when I was supposed to be in the projects and stuff like that, because I wasn't brought up in the projects. But the projects looked like it was so much fun, like going on in there, that I stayed over there a lot.
Gotcha.
You know, and my ideals of fun had changed, was starting to change. Like my ideals of fun at one time was all about sports. Like any type of sports, baseball, basketball, football, the three major sports. Right? That was my fun, that was my outlet. Right? After a while, you know, it became more about hanging on corners, like smoking weed, you know, stealing cars, you know. At one time it was about, like I say, riding dirt bikes, you know, or fixing bicycles, you know. So that when that started to change, and then once I got in high school, I would say when my friends started to change, right? And I realized, like at the end of high school, that I didn't like hard work. I couldn't see myself.
At McDonald's?
not just at McDonald's, but I couldn't see myself like laying cement in 35-degree weather, right? Or laying shingles on a building at 95-degree weather. Not that I don't respect people that does that, because I do, right? But that wasn't how I saw me being fulfilling what I wanted to do.
I'm with
right?
you.
But I'm a hard worker. I just don't like hard work. Right? So there's a difference.
You hard work, and how the way that you want to do it. Once you get there, you work. You all 100% in.
Right.
Right. Gotcha.
So, once I got involved into the streets, it became my way of life.
Mm-hmm.
Like that took full precedence over anything, right? Because I had a perception, or I had an illusion in my mind of what I thought that dealing drugs or being in that life was going to be, right? Because it came a lot from Starface, right? It came a lot from the TV or the media, right? You know, like I was going to become this great big drug dealer. I was going to have my own island, right? And I was going to have a lot of females on there in bikinis that nobody spoke English but me. Right? And we was going to be drinking out of these fucking glasses or these coconuts and shit, right? And I was going to rule the world from there.
The world is yours.
Yeah. But
see, y'all don't see, right? He got my man Tony Montana right over here. Yeah. That's the first thing I saw on
Yeah. And see, I got that for a reason. Like, see, I got Muhammad Ali over there, right? The greatest of all time.
Yes.
Like, I love Muhammad Ali. I got Malcolm X right here. Right? Love Malcolm X. A thinker, right? A revolutionary, right? And I got Tony Montana, the gangster.
The gangster.
Right? So you can get all that when you come in here, right? You can get the fighter, you can get the revolutionary, or you can fuck around and get some gangster shit. That's however you want to bring it, that's how you gonna get it, right? You know, so just let you know this is a theme. They are just put up there on random. You know. So but that never happened. Right? The reality that happened was I became addicted to drugs. I became homeless. I was shot 4 times in the chest. Like I was paralyzed in the chest. Right? And I overdosed. That was the reality. See, that's not what the movies show. That's not the side that they show, right? They don't show the reality of it. They show the illusion, like they did to drive you to want, oh, I can do that. That's what it is. That's all it takes. Yeah, I can do that. But that's not reality. Right? And I had to learn reality the hard way. You know. So it was just like my process, man, of leaving out the illusion. And that's what I had to do in transforming my way of thinking. Right? Because even though my experiences had showed me that the illusion was just an illusion, and my reality was going to prison, right, getting shot. My mind didn't allow me to focus on the reality. It kept me stuck in the illusion stage, right? Until I had to force myself. Like, no, this is the reality. You have to excuse me because I have muscles. Sometimes. This is the reality of your story. Right? I don't know about anybody else's story, but yours is that you're not a successful drug dealer. You know, so I know I had to come to grips with that. You know,
when I be as good as Tony Montana,
right? And it was hard because I've tried it, but I was like sucked into this life, to this illusion for years, for like 20-something years that I invested a lot of my time, right, in the belief that I could become
the next dolphin.
Yeah, and that wasn't it just don't happen. It don't happen. People spend a good, maybe I'll say on top, a good 3 years, if they get lucky, 3 years at selling drugs, right? That's very lucky, right? But they spend the next 25 years being incarcerated, right? And that mathematically don't make fucking sense. You know, especially when that's your reality, and that's something that has shown you day in and day out, right? That this is what's going to happen. Now, as we grow up and as we mature, our thinking should as well. Right? But some people do not. That thinking is on the same level, and I've heard this a lot of times. People say that your mind stops growing when you start getting high at a certain age, right? And that can be true, right? Because at 30-some years old, I was still thinking like I was 18, 19 years old. Yeah, I had to grow the fuck up. You know, like this is not gonna happen. Right. Time to move on. Let that lay where it's at. That was your past. Right? Let that lay exactly where it was at. And then you have to think. Right? You have to move accordingly. Right? Then you have to do what I call consequential thinking. Now, right? And that's what every action that I make has some form of action behind it or reaction to it. Right? So if I do something, before I do it, I have to think, is that going to cause any harm? Right? Is that going to bring any mischief or, you know, disorder in my life? Right? Or in your life? You know, am I going to like the reaction that I get? So I have to do consequential thinking on all my thoughts. Like before I even go outside, I have to, okay, where am I going? Like I have to strategically plan my day. Like, okay, I'm gonna go over here for a little while. Like then I need to be able to, when it's that time, call somebody. Look, it's time for me to go home. Come pick me up. Right? I've said I'm gonna be over here for 2 hours. After that, then I'm done. Right? Or if it get too hot, I need you to be right here to come pick me up. Right? Yeah.
So, okay, so. You went from growing up, you were running the streets as a young man while mom was at work. So, what was it? Could you kind of talk about what happened for you to go to prison, and that transitional period? You know, what was going down while you had to go? What happened? Okay. Then you had to go to prison, and then can you talk about that?
Okay, now I'm gonna say this because I went to prison twice. Okay. I went to state prison for almost 5 years. Okay. Right. And I was young. So when I went there was a lot. It was only 30 minutes from where I lived at, from Richmond. Right. So there was a lot of other homeboys that I grew up with. Gotcha. Either I hadn't seen in a while, right, or I just left that was in there, right. So me being a youth and still involved in that circle, I didn't grow in that process. I didn't take out, you know, any I didn't take out what I would say, I didn't get, how would I say this? I didn't get any lessons. Right? You know, because we all talked about the old time. You know, when we did this and when we did that, right? And
romanticizing, that's what they call it. Romanticizing.
Yeah, you know, we got to talk about that, and we talked about, you know, what we was going to do when we get out. Right? It was nothing positive going on in that environment. Right? And it isn't designed to be positive.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I can imagine.
Yeah, so I came out with the same mentality that I went in with, if not even worse. Because I thought, from listening to the people in that environment, I thought I had figured it out. Right? How to get away. I thought I had figured it out. And I ended up coming home, and that's when I got shot. Right? I got straight back in. I didn't even give myself the opportunity or the chance to, when I came home, to even try to do something different. Right? I got straight back in the game. Right? And I ended up getting shot about a year or two later.
Was that something? Was it just drug related, gang related? Or
yeah, it was a little bit of a mixture of everything. Right? Yeah. So in that process of me getting shot, my mother passed away.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. She died from cancer. And that, you know, this will happen in a year. You know, my mother passed. I was shot 4 times in the chest, and at first I was like paralyzed from the neck down. Like, all I could move was my head. You know, we ended up losing our home, so I became homeless. Right, and I actually had given up on life at that time. You know, because when my mother was my life, right, she was always there for me, no matter what the hell I did. Like, she was the one person I knew that always had my back. And when she was taken away from me, and I was stuck in this hospital bed, not being able to move any of my extremities, right, and knowing that I was homeless, right, that like my world was done. Shattered. Yeah, it was shattered, and all I had was like me in the bed and a TV on the wall that stayed on 24 hours a day. And all I could see every hour of every day was things that I would never be able to participate in life again. And it killed my spirit. Right? And then I had doctors and nurses coming in that tell me that for the rest of my life that I was going to have to be bedridden. Like somebody was going to actually have to always be able to provide for me, take care of me, wipe me, feed me, clothe me, protect me. Right? So, and I bought into that. You know, I bought into that. And it took me a while to get that mentality, like, that thought out of my head. Like, because for a while, you know, I was just sitting there and crying. You know, just crying. And the worst feeling that I had, and I just was thinking about this the other day, that I had when I was in that hospital, was one day I was laying there, looking at TV, and a fly landed on my face, right? And I blew, and it flew away. But then it came back. And I went to blow the second time, it ain't budged. And it walked all around my face, and I couldn't do nothing to protect myself. I couldn't swat it. I couldn't do anything. And it did what it wanted, a fly, a little bitty fly. Like, and it just did what it wanted. It could have shit it in my mouth, and there was nothing that I could do about it.
Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. And that, man, that like touched me. That hurt me so bad inside. Like, I'm like, damn, this is what I got reduced to. You know. And in the hospital, you know, like certain things start happening. You know, certain dreams. I don't know, dreams, reality. I don't know what it pushed me. You know, till one day I wanted to, like I said, if I don't try something, then this is my reality. Like, I'm going to die in this situation. Right? So I started doing therapy. Which at first I had bucked on. I wasn't going to do no therapy. I didn't want to do it because I didn't see it. Like, I couldn't see anything that was going to come out of it. You know, and in the process of me doing therapy, I started, it took a while. It didn't come overnight. It took like years for me to start being able to feed myself, you know, get out of the bed on my own, put my clothes on, you know, being able to wear regular underwear again, things like that. It took a long time. You know, it took like some crying. You know, some days I wanted to give up because I didn't see any you know, the progress in it, you know, but then, you know, I kept pushing on, and certain things started happening, certain things started coming back, and I was able to start, like I said, you know, like getting in and out of the bed by myself, and I didn't work on my inside. I didn't work on my mentality. All I worked on was physical. So when I did leave the hospital, I still left with the same mind that I had when they dragged me in there with 4 gunshot wounds in the chest. Right? I still had that same mind. So when it was time for me to leave and I left and I went back into the same environment, I still thought the same way. Right? So my life hadn't changed mentally. Right? it changed physically, but it hadn't changed mentally. So I got right back into the same situation, you know, and I ended up having to do some federal time, right? And in this federal time, you know, you don't. For me, my federal time was in Texas and Kentucky and Atlanta, Arkansas. I ain't had no homeboys out there. Right? I ain't have nobody to kick it with or reminisce with. It allowed me to do a lot of reading, like do a lot of researching, and that's how I spent the majority of my time. Like I cut out the TVs, I cut out like Basketball Wives and all that old foolish shit. You know, I cut all that out. I didn't care about who had the most money, Jay-Z, Biggie, or Pop. You know, I just eliminated that. I watched a lot of sports, you know, and you know, I worked out and I read, and I got to study different religions and you know, spirituality, and I ended up coming home. But when I came home, I ain't having the discipline. Right? So I got back into, you know, I call myself, you know, I'm gonna get high one time and then I'm gonna, you know, whatever I said that I was gonna do in prison, I was gonna do it. But for me, you know, I'm addicted to drugs. Right? That one time, they said one is 2 men in 1,000. It's never enough. I'm a prime example of that. Right? And I ended up overdosing.
What was it?
Heroin. Yeah. And in that process, I ended up going back to prison because I had violated my terms of probation. So they gave me a year and a day, which meant that I had to do 10 months. So could do 85%. So I ended up in that process, and somewhere along the line, I was coming to the child hall, and it was like where the herd, the cows going in and coming out, you know, and I just stopped, and I just saw this, and I saw like older and younger, you know, guys going in, you know, they happy, and they got all this time. Some of them been there for 30 years, some of them just got 30 years, and they're just so joyous, right? And I'm just sitting there and I'm just watching them. And I remember when I first went to prison, you know, they called me Young Buck or Youngin, you know, or little this or that. And now I'm on, right? I'm old head, I'm old school. And I'm like, man, I grew up in here. You know, when I growed up, but most of my adult life was in prison. So I was like, man, I don't want to, you know, like die in here. I don't want, because I used to pray for that. Like, God, don't let me die in prison. But then I do stuff and go right back to prison. Right? And then I do the same prayers all over again. And then when I, you know, so I was like, man, something hasn't changed. You know, and I read a book, and it was Martin Luther King. He was talking to his wife and a friend, and they had asked him, why are we still in the same position that we are in? And he was saying it was because of dumb ideas and stupid thoughts. Right? He said because once we, you know, once you get a dumb idea, right? He said everybody gets it. Right? He said, but the problem becomes when they become repetition. Right? When they become over and over, that same dumb idea becomes over and over and over. Right? Then it becomes a dumbass action. Right? So I was like, dang, I need to cut some of this shit out. I'm thinking a lot of dumb shit. Right?
Ain't nothing, no fruit, nothing fruitful.
Yeah. So you know, I got in there, and it was like 3 months left, and I was like, man, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I ended up calling this drug treatment facility down here in Richmond called Healing Place. And my past experiences showed me that I don't know how to just come straight home and live. I need some type of guidance. You know, I need to be like hand spoon fed back into society because I lose my mind every time I come back. And if this doesn't happen, I'm going to die. Right? Because I just overdosed. And I don't want to die. Right? And they told me to come on in, man. And, you know, I came in and I didn't care what nobody was doing around me. I didn't care who was doing this or who wasn't doing that or, you know, what was going on in the world. My main focus was on me getting myself together. You know, so I became selfish, you know, with my time and with myself and how, you know, my ideas and how I saw certain things. Like I focused on me so much that the outside world didn't even matter.
But you didn't do that before, right?
No, because it was all physical, right? It was never nothing. Like I wasn't feeding anything in my middle, right? And then when I did do it, when I came home, like I was put straight into the same environment as I was when I just left, and nothing changed in that environment. Actually, it just got worse, right? And I just fit right on in, and I just went right on with the flow. So that pretty much what happened, man. And even, you know, I stayed in there for almost a year, and at the end of it, I still didn't have an idea of what I wanted to do because, you know, I was like, man, I don't want to do this, but I might have to do this. And I don't want to do that, but I might have to do that. Right? And I was going back and forth with myself. And this is how I tell people, like, sometimes when you go searching for things, like, you don't find them because they'll find you when it's time. When it's that time.
I agree.
Right? Because they know where you're at. Right? They know your purpose. You may not even know your purpose at that time, right? But it'll find you. Right? And when I was in there and I was graduating, Mark England, he showed up to our graduation. We didn't even know each other. He actually came there on a different reason. Like his purpose there was different. But when he heard me speak, you know, and him being, you know, a coach and speaker for umpteen years, he's like, you got some raw talent. I see that. What do you want to do? You want to speak? What I was doing about yourself. Yes.
I can do that.
Yes. And see what I loved about it is because I've always wanted to give back. I just didn't know how.
Yeah.
I didn't have an avenue to use to go down on. Like I'm always fighting for the underdog. I'm always rooting for them. So when I was able to go back into the detention centers now, in jail, in nursing homes, right, in addiction facilities, like that's the best high I ever get, man. I've never got a high, and it keep me high for days, bro. I be like on adrenaline rush for days behind it, you know. And like I said, it found me. You know,
I found your purpose.
Yeah.
Man, that's powerful, man. Yeah. So let's fast forward a little bit. So you meet up with Mark. You start to realize that the way you can touch and influence is with sharing your message and your experience with people. You know, so is that pretty much what you're doing now? I mean, is that? I guess the question is, you sharing your experience with other other facilities. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way that let me phrase your question properly. That's the way that you not only are able to express what you went through, but also you're able to help these people in these different ables with your stories and with advice. Like, what is maybe your technique that you use? Is it just storytelling, or is it more so Or is it more so storytelling? Is it more so advice, or is it all kind of?
It's a mixture.
Mixture, okay.
Right? Because it's storytelling, right? Then it's advice. Then I'm able to experience.
Yeah, experience.
Like my experience is what like a lot of people can gravitate to.
I got you.
Especially in this world. Like even for me, when I go into the detention center, right, or when I'm able to speak, right, I can connect with them.
Yeah.
Because we speak the same language.
You can relate.
Yeah, and you know they can relate to me. I can relate to them. And even when the fact can get to the point where I have to go over, like I'm from Highland Park, right, Richmond, right up the street, right, not too far. I go over there, right, and that's not a loving and caring environment, right? You know, and people ask me sometimes, like, why do you go over there? Why, you know, when so much going on, and you know, but I'm for the people, right? I'm for the people, you know, and a lot of my people are still stuck in that life. So by them not being able to go in churches and hear a message because they're not going in there, right? For them not, you know, going and hear a podcast or to do something, right? They need to see a message instead of hearing one. So I could go over there. I don't have to preach. I don't have to give no experience because they know my life. They know my story.
You be kicking.
Yeah, they know, you know, like what I've been through and what I've overcame. And sometimes people need to see that so they can see that if I can do it, they can do it.
Yeah.
Right? And so like the positive vibes that I give off, they might not even receive that until, you know, like somebody that come from where they come from, or maybe even worse than where they was at, can, you know, they like, oh yeah, I can do it. Man, he did it, I can do it. You know, and that's my purpose. Right? It's not to go over there and try to tell them or install in them, you should do this, you need to do this. I don't do none of that. Right? I don't do none of that. Right? If they come to me for advice or encouraging word, I'm going to get it.
So, since I definitely heard that you're a master storyteller, could you tell a story about when the light bulb came on? You know, when you were like, I can't do this no more. You know, could you, you know, kind of talk about that experience that you had when you made that turn from all that stuff in the past, and you were like, I'm not going back there. I figured it out. You know what I'm saying? How was that experience? Could you kind of talk about that?
It wasn't like something that just happened overnight, right? Or the spark didn't just come. It came from me doing certain things, trying to live life different, right? Like I had to involve myself to try to go up in the VCU area, right? And just to see how other people was living, right? Or me sitting at a marathon and watching 58,000 people get involved in this marathon in my city, and I don't know not one of them. Right? I'm like, where's all these people? How am I living, where I don't interact with none of these people. Right? And they are living.
It's a whole new world.
It's a whole new world, and I'm on pilot. Right? I deserve it. Right? You know, I put a stake in this country too. You know, so I deserve that as well. So it was like just certain things, man, that like going to different restaurants, you know, trying different food instead of the fast food, McDonald's and Burger King and Long John Silver, you know, trying Thai food with mom, right? I love it. You know, different, man, you know, and I say like my outlook was I wanted better for you as well as I want for myself. I wanted to see you win too, right? Because if you win, then we win, right? And then our community win, right? It's that part of my sobriety or my thinking has never been selfish. It was never, in the beginning it had to be all about me, right? Because I had to work on me, right? I had to work on me so I can make me better, so that maybe I could help somebody to come back.
Yeah.
Right? But if I was fucked up, right, then all I was going to do was give out fucked up vibes, information, you know, or stir somebody in the wrong direction. And I've never wanted to do that, you know. So like I said, man, it wasn't just a overnight thing or one spot that you know, like, this is it, like, hoorah, I'm here, you know.
It was gradual.
Yeah, it was gradual. Because I had to work on a lot of things with me. Yeah. You know, and I knew, I've been knew that I wanted better. You know, and once I started in the process, I started seeing like some of my prayers being answered. Like, but I had to understand, like, prayers just don't come because you pray for them. Right? It comes because of the work you're doing to get the prayer.
Because nobody's coming to save you.
Nobody's coming to save you. They've been waiting on Jesus for 2,000 years and he ain't got. Bro, if you come and cry, I got shit to do. Right? I ain't got time to be sitting around waiting. No, bro, I got shit to do, man. You know? So, like, and this was really actually made me see it. Like when we moved here, and I can remember in prison when I used to pray to have a relationship with my daughter and my grandkids, right? Because I had never met my grandkids because I was in prison. Yeah. And one day, you know, they coming over, like they want to spend time with Papa. You know, they call him Papa. And at first they was leery of me because they never seen me, right? Especially my youngest granddaughter. Like she wouldn't even come to me. I'm coming to her in a wheelchair, talking about give me a hug. She like, no, we ain't doing all that, right? But I was sitting out there by the pool, and they was like in the pool. They was just diving and they was just
having blast.
And they like, Papa, look at me. And I was like, I see you. Even though they probably weren't doing nothing, but I was like, yeah, I see you. And I said, man, I prayed for this. This is one of the prayers that I prayed.
You manifested it.
Yeah.
By doing right.
By doing right. Yeah. By putting it, and it won't easy.
No.
Right? It was not easy because me and my daughter, you know, we was going back and forth for a minute because I was still looking at her as my little girl when I left, and she was a grown woman with kids of her own. So we had to like come in the middle to meet each other, right? Because we bumped heads a lot. But I prayed for this, right? And I'm not, like I said, it didn't come down out of the sky. You know, I put the work in. You know, and that's how a lot of people. Their prayers don't get answered. Yeah, because they don't put the work.
They just wait.
They just get on their knees.
Yeah.
People get money on their knees or get things on their knees is a prostitute.
Yeah.
I ain't a prostitute. I got to get out and make.
You gotta get that work.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting because even like you were saying earlier, like you're a hard worker, but you like to work the type of work you like to work.
Yeah.
So now you being yourself, you able to work and you working diligently and helping others.
Yeah, and I love it.
Yeah, and you love it. So you are extra hard worker.
Yes. You know, and the thing that I love to see is like when somebody else see that work.
Right?
Or that they can do it. You know, I've had people, man, come to me and say, man, I've seen one of your podcasts or I've seen your live or whatever, and it influenced me to go into drug treatment for certain.
That's
right?
Or you can reach people just through social media now.
Yes,
you reach everywhere.
That's it.
So, in kind of wrapping, because I know we're gonna have to dip out soon. Now, any last words of encouragement for if somebody's listening to you right now on the other side that they're going through things that I've gone through, you've gone through? Could you put out some lasting words of experience and encouragement for these individuals?
Yeah, life isn't easy. Right? Life was never meant to be easy. Right? The only way to fulfill your purpose is that you have to do it. Can't nobody do it for you. You know, like Mark showed me the way, but I had to put the work in to do it. Like he's like, if you go this way, like, then that's the way to go. Like I was like, okay. And sometimes I went my own way,
Yeah,
right? You know, but I had to learn that on my own,
yeah, exactly.
right? I just believe, man, you have to like, do self-inventory, and you have to know your limitations, right? And you never know how far you can go unless you try.
Yeah.
If you don't try, you're gonna always second guess yourself. And I've never been a fan of woulda, coulda, shoulda, or maybe. You know, I've never been that. That shit just throws me.
No, it don't work.
Right? Yeah. So I'm gonna try. If I fail, I fail. Right? But at least I know.
Yeah.
Then I can move on. Right? Never give up on yourself. Right? What your reality is today may not be the same reality tomorrow.
Yeah, that's an actual fact.
But you never know if you give up. It's gonna be. That's what it's gonna be tomorrow.
It ends right there.
Yeah, you know. So man, just keep striving forward. You know, believe in yourself, trust yourself. You know, and do consequential thinking.
Yeah.
Right. That's a part.
Yeah.
And you have to be disciplined.
Yeah, you gotta be disciplined.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, man, this is a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna do it again. Is that cool?
For sure.
Okay, well, definitely.
For sure.
All right.
Because there's a lot of stuff that I would love to get in with you. You know, far as like America, you know, our perspective on it, and
exactly.
you know how we see it and how we live, and you know our neighborhoods and stuff like that.
Yeah. See that, and that's important, and that's another thing I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna be doing them more and more often, and even coming back to speak to brothers like you, because, you know, that what we just talked about, even just dealing with you, that's just a tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
You know, we can go deep, not even dealing with even the stuff that we went through personally, you know, as our past, but the reality that we deal with and we've dealt with about, like, again, being black in America, what we see the future in America, you know, and et cetera, et cetera. So, man, it was a pleasure, my man. What's the best way to for them to find you?
Go on Instagram at Paris Robinson 1195.
Paris Robinson, okay. And of course, I'm gonna put your information on there for people to reach out. You know, as far as your IG and whatever information you want them to, you give me, I'll put up there for you. So, so man, this concludes our another amazing episode of Elevated Beings, and I'm sitting next to an elevated being right here, my man Paris, and we, you know, we're gonna be back when we talking about some other topics in the near future. You know,
love it.
Yes, and peace and love. Until next time.
Peace.